Hi, everyone. Welcome to our live Cricut workshop. Welcome, everyone. We're just going to give folks just a chance to make their way into our Zoom space, and we're going to get started in just a little bit. Again, we are live for our note card set workshop. I'm so excited to be teaching this class to all of you today. So again, we're going to get started in just a little bit. We're going to give folks just a chance to make their way into our Zoom space here. Again, we're going to get started in just a couple seconds here. Welcome, everyone. We're expecting a large crowd, which is super, super exciting. I see some heart emojis, some party hats going by. Everyone's really excited. I know I am too. So thank you again for being here. We're going to get started in just a little bit. So welcome, everyone. As we're waiting for more folks to make their way into the space, I'm going to launch a polling question. And I'm curious to know if you've taken one of our Cricut workshops before. So go ahead and fill out that question. It is a multiple choice question. So maybe you've taken our 101 or our 102, or you've taken one of our specialty workshops, like our card class. Welcome back if you've taken our card class before, or some of our other specialty workshops like iron-on or paper flowers, or maybe this is your first Cricut workshop, which is super, super exciting if you're joining us for the first time. So I'm going to leave that open for just a little bit, again, as folks are making their way into our live workshop. If you haven't already, feel free to grab a notebook, something to write with, maybe your favorite beverage, because we're going to be sharing lots of tips and tricks today. So feel free to take notes throughout today's workshop. So again, we are so excited. If you're just coming in, we are live. We're actually recording today's workshop. We are streaming it on YouTube. And we actually have posted that link in the chat. I'll be sharing more about that in just a little bit. So again, welcome, folks. Feel free to answer our first polling question. We'd like to know if you've taken some of our Cricut workshops in the past. So welcome, everyone. I love all these emojis coming through. We've got some, which is super, super exciting. All right. So welcome, everyone, to our live note card making workshop. My name is Danny. I'm going to be your Cricut coach. And again, I am super excited to be joining you. We are live. We are streaming on YouTube. So you are going to get this recording. So how is today's class going to work? It's going to work in two parts. Part one, I'm going to be sharing a brief slide presentation with you, going over how to get started with card making, and in particular, creating a note card set. So that's going to be part one. Part two, we're actually going to be making a project. So throughout the class, if you have any questions, you want to use the Q&A section located down below on the bottom of your Zoom screen, because we have we have four incredible Cricut experts working behind the scenes. And so you will be hearing from Katie, Jesse, Christine, and we also have Kesley as well, working behind the scenes to answer any questions you might have, to assist you throughout today's class. So if there's a step that you might miss, they can help catch you up throughout today's class. So again, you want to use the Q&A section. That's how we ask our questions, and we will answer some of those questions live as well. So you never know, we might answer your question. After today's class, what if you have a challenge with your machine, or with a design you're working on, or you have a question about materials? We have a special email address that you can use, and that email address is makewithus@cricut.com. Again, that email address is makewithus@cricut.com, and our Cricut expert Katie just put that in the chat. Feel free to send us an email. We do ask that you give us about 24 hours to be able to get a response back to you. But again, just send us an email and we'll be able to help you out. We are here to provide you with the resources you might need throughout your crafting journey with Cricut. So it looks like we've got quite a number of folks joining us here. And I'm going to actually end our polling question, which I wanted to know if you've taken some of our Cricut workshops. Again, these polling questions are really to help myself and our Cricut experts know who's in the room. And with our card workshop, it's not a beginner style workshop. So if you are new to Cricut and you want some of those getting started skills, you could always sign up for our 101. And we'll be talking more about upcoming classes and how you can sign up for those upcoming classes. So let's see who we have in the room here. So it looks like we have 44% of you. This is your first Cricut workshop, 309 people. I am so excited for you because I love card making and I think you're going to love learning about card making with Cricut. We have 28% that have taken Cricut 101. We have 19% that have taken Cricut 102. 14% have taken our card workshop. So welcome. We try to change the projects for these classes, so you could always come back and sign up for these classes again. 10% have taken our iron-on workshop, and 4% have taken paper flowers, which I'm a huge fan of paper flowers. So thank you for filling out that polling question. Again, if you're just joining us, we are live. We are recording today's class. So if you miss anything, just know that you have that recording that you'll be able to reference back. I'm going to ask another polling question because I know we have lots of folks in our Zoom space. So I'm curious to know, what is your crafting level? Now, I'm not talking about Cricut specifically, just crafting in general. How would you describe your level of crafting expertise? So again, this is really to just let us know who's in the room with us today. So feel free to go ahead and answer that question, and then I will share those results. While that polling question is going, I do want to mention, so we've got our Q&A section where you would ask questions. Then we have our chat, which is where myself and the Cricut experts are going to be sharing additional resources for you. So this is where we have the YouTube link for today's class. In the chat, we're going to be sharing additional links, additional resources with you in the chat as well. So feel free, I will point that out throughout today's workshop. Feel free to visit our chat to get that information. All right, so I'm going to give it just a couple more seconds before I end our poll. Again, welcome to those that are just joining us. We're super excited to have you here. All right, so I'm going to end the polling question. Let's see. So how would you describe your level of crafting expertise? So we have 44% say proficient, 39% say skilled, and 17% say accomplished. So again, thank you for answering that. So now, what about your level of working with Cricut, with your Cricut machine? So as a Cricut crafter, where would you place your skill level? So again, and I love these choices we put together. It's everything from, I know enough to make a mean sticker. I can make some pretty impressive gift boxes and greeting cards. I'm a Cricut ninja, and give me any project and I'll slay it. Ninja style. I love that. So go ahead and answer that polling question for us. And yeah, I just saw a little laughing emoji there. I think we've got some Cricut ninjas who are they're gonna slay it. And then we're gonna jump right into our first part of the class, sharing that slide presentation with you. I love these emojis that are coming through. They just make it so much fun. So thank you for sharing those emojis. I know you're excited, and I'm excited too. So, all right, so I'm going to end this last poll before we jump into the slide presentation. And it looks like we've got 49% of you know enough to make a mean sticker, which is pretty awesome. 42% can make some pretty impressive gift boxes and greeting cards. And we've got 9% of you are Cricut ninjas. So you can give any project and you'll slay it. So awesome. Thank you again for sharing that info. All right, so again, we are recording today's class, and you will get that recording. You can go into the chat and select the link. Just know that if you do open it up right now, you want to make sure that you turn the volume off on that YouTube link so you're not hearing me speak twice, right? You could always just copy and paste it into a Word document and then access it later on. So we're going to jump right in. For this first part, feel free to just jot down notes. You can take any pictures, any screenshots of any of the slides I'm sharing with you today. And of course, if you want to hold off on asking your question until after the presentation, you are more than welcome to do that. So we're going to jump right in. I'm going to share my screen. And again, we are here to learn all about card making, and in particular, making a note card set. With the fall season here, holiday season right around the corner, making a note card set, maybe for yourself, but you could also make one as a gift, right? It's the perfect, wonderful gift that someone can really enjoy by making that note card set. So again, we are so excited to have you here today. And I know we've got some seasoned crafters and some of you that are new to the world of Cricut. And I promise you, you will learn something new and have a great time doing it. So again, during this workshop, I will be taking you step by step through the process of creating your own set of note cards from scratch using your Cricut machine. We're going to cover everything today, from choosing the right materials to designing to cutting out your cards. And then, of course, we're here to answer any questions you might have along the way. So what do you say? Let's jump right in. So whenever it comes to card making, actually, whenever it comes to working with your Cricut machine, it's all about 3 easy steps. So step 1 is all about the design process, right? And it's designing in Cricut's Design Space, their software program. It's a powerful platform that's really going to allow you to create all kinds of projects with your machine. And there's 4 main parts, main ways to use Design Space to really bring your project together. First, you can use a pre-designed Cricut project. These are ready to make. I love ready to make projects because, again, maybe you're new to Design Space, you're new to Cricut, or you need something quick. You need that quick card, or you're looking for inspiration. These ready to make Cricut projects are really going to come in handy. So actually, the note card set we're going to be doing is a project that's already been created for you. So we're going to be searching for that, and I will be showing you that once we go into the live creation portion. Another option when it comes to design is you can build a design with Cricut images, right? So the Design Space library, Cricut Access, has an enormous collection of images from simple shapes to very intricate designs. And you can just combine them and really create your own unique design. And then, of course, have your machine cut it out. Another option for you is you can upload your own design. So maybe you've created your own design, whether it's in like another program like an Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop, or you've purchased a design, you can import that design right into Design Space. And again, use your machine to cut it out. So this is a really great option if you are looking for a specific design in mind and you just can't find it in the Design Space library. And then the last option is you can design from scratch. You can go ahead and create your own design by using shapes, adding text, really creating something from the ground up. So again, this is a perfect option if you have something specifically in mind and you can't find it. So you know what? Design it from scratch. Create it your own. So again, this is step 1, the design portion, where you really get to be this artist and be creative and just throw ideas onto your canvas and see what you come up with. And of course, once you're done designing and you're happy with your design, you're going to move into step 2, which is now where you get to start to connect to your machine, let your machine take over. And I like to say, do all the heavy lifting, right? So this is where your machine is going to do the cutting process. And to do that, there's a couple steps that take place. So first, you're going to review your prepare screen. Okay, so your prepare screen is going to show you how your image is going to appear, where you're going to place your materials on your mats. And then, of course, there's some settings that you want to make sure are indicated properly before clicking on that continue button. Everything you see on your prepare screen is what your machine is going to do once it's time to cut it out, right? So then you've clicked on that continue button. It's now time to select your material, right? And this is important because there are tons of different materials out there. And depending on the material, they might require a different cutting setting. For example, we're going to be working with cardstock, right? If I'm working with just a regular cardstock or I'm working with a glitter cardstock, those two have different cutting settings. So it's very important that I'm selecting the right type of material so my machine knows exactly the cutting setting for it. Once you have your material set, you're now going to choose your tools, right? Are you using a writing tool? Are you going to be adding some text? You want to make sure that that's indicated. Are you working with a scoring tool? We're going to be using a scoring tool today. Are you working with that fine point blade? That's the blade that comes with your machine, right? You want to make sure that you are choosing the tools you need. And then, of course, once you've gone through these 3 steps, your machine is going to start that cutting process. Before that, though, of course, you're going to place your materials on your mats, put it into your machine, click on that load and unload button, and then your machine will start to register your design and start that cutting process for you. Step 3, of course, it's my favorite part. It's the icing on the cake moment, right? So step 3 is all about the assembly part, right? If you've made it to step 3 of your project, you can give yourselves a little pat on the back, right? So this is where the real fun begins. And with card making, of course, you're going to start by first removing the paper from the mat, right? And I will show you some tips on how to carefully remove it so you're not bending it, you're not tearing any pieces. We don't want you to ruin all that hard work you just put into designing it, and your machine put in all that hard work cutting it out, right? So I will share some tips on how to properly remove the paper from the mat. You want to review any instructions, right? If you're putting together a card that's got lots of different layers and different pieces to it, you want to make sure you're reviewing those instructions that need to take place. And then, of course, you're going to get out all of your adhesives that you're going to be using, and you can ask the Cricut experts. I love adhesives, everything from glue sticks to tape runners to glue dots, right? Tons of different options. A little laughing emoji just went by. Yes, I'm going to be sharing some of my favorites and what I use them for. So again, that adhere part is where you're going to put everything together. And again, this is where you want to take your time, because if you're at this step, you're pretty much at the end, right? So you don't want to ruin any parts of your project by maybe putting too much glue, which we've all done, right? And then, of course, you're at that final step where you're done. You can now enjoy what you've created, and hopefully you're going to be sending this beautiful card to a friend or family member that they can be so impressed by what you've created and really just be loved by your generosity. So this is the 3-step process, right? It sounds simple, and it is. So let's explore the options and, again, really help you out through this card making process. So we're going to go over the supply list for, of course, what we're making today, but this is pretty much a standard supply list when it comes to card making. I'm going to go through it briefly, but don't worry, I will go over each item in more detail after the presentation. Again, I have lots of different options of paper adhesives that I can tell you all about. But of course, you're going to need some type of paper, some type of cardstock. And when it comes to cardstock, there are different options. The most common ones, the weight is usually between 65 and 80 pound. Depending on the type of cardstock you're using, it could be lightweight or medium weight, right? So if it's lightweight, it tends to be 65 pound. If it's a medium weight, it tends to be that 80 pound cardstock. When it comes to size, you can use 8.5 by 11 or 12 by 12. I'm actually going to be using the Cricut cardstock, which is 12 by 12, and it's the medium cardstock. I do have a piece of pattern paper that I'm going to use, which is on the lighter side. That's a 65 pound cardstock. What I love about card making, here's a great tip. What I love about card making is it's a real scrap buster, right? So if you have scraps lying around from other card making projects, don't throw them out, because this is where you really get to be able to go through your pile of scraps and pull those pattern pieces, pull those little teeny tiny pieces that you just don't know what you're going to do. I'm sure that you will find something to use it when it comes to card making. So we've got our cardstock. Then we're going to need some type of scoring tool. So what is the scoring tool going to give you? So I actually have, if you can see in my little window here, I have an envelope that I've created, right? So a scoring tool is going to allow me to add those clean crease lines so I can fold and create something like an envelope. Now, when it comes to a scoring tool, there's two options available to you. You can use a scoring stylus, which I have right here, and the scoring stylus works in your Explorer machines. So if you have your Air 2, you've got your Explorer 3, you can use a scoring stylus. The scoring stylus goes in your clamp A, which is where you would put your pens. If you have a maker type machine, you can use the scoring stylus, or you can use a scoring wheel, right? I'm working with the Maker 3, and I'm actually going to be using a scoring stylus. The reason why I'm using a scoring stylus is because you could put it in your clamp A. So it requires less steps of removing my fine point blade and putting the tool in. I can just have my scoring stylus and my fine point blade in at the same time. So I prefer to use the scoring stylus. What if you have a Joy or a Joy Extra, or you don't have a scoring tool at all? I'm going to share a tip with you and after the presentation on how you can use the tools that you have, the things that you have in your craft space, to be able to add a scoring line, okay? So you need some kind of scoring technique, right? You're going to then need paper adhesives, which I've already been talking so much about. And again, that could be everything from a glue stick to double-sided tape to a glue pen. I will share tons. I already see the laughing emojis, folks. I think I have some paper adhesive fans in the workshop, which is great. So you need some kind of paper adhesive, and then you need a pen, right? Because we're going to be adding some text. Your machine comes with your fine point black pen, which you can use. I'm going to be using this. I'm also going to be using some different colors as well, just to show you a couple different examples. Okay, so again, this is the typical supply list you would use when it comes to card making. So, fun fact time. Did you know that Cricut Design Space has over 2,500 no card projects? Right? So there are over 2,500 no card projects for you to explore. So again, looking for that birthday card, looking for Halloween card, thank you card, holidays are coming up, Thanksgiving, right? Maybe just a fun card to send to your friend. Go into Design Space and you can search for all these different cards just by typing in the type of card you're looking for. And the best part is you can customize it, right? It'll give you the option to just make it if you just want to make it, but maybe you want to customize it. You want to add that special message in the card. You can go ahead and do that. Another fun fact, for every Cricut note card project, there are 9 Cricut community note card projects. So there's all these ready to make ones that Cricut has put together for you. And then there's the Cricut community, which is all of you, right? So when you create a project and you share it, you have the option to share it with the Cricut community. So I love the Cricut community because I'm just so blown away and inspired by what everyone's creating. So I will always go into the community section and just see what folks are creating, because it just inspires me, and it really makes me happy. It puts a big smile on my face. So how do you find a project? And in particular, how are we going to find today's project that we're going to be working on? So I'm going to show you a few ways to find the project that we're going to work on today. So the first method, and again, I'm showing you this here, and then I'm going to show you once again once we go in live. And if you're just joining us, we are recording, so you will get the recording as well. So the first method is through a keyword search. You can, and you see it right here, you can simply type in the search bar a word or a phrase related to the project you're interested in, and Design Space is going to generate a list of projects that match your search. And it's going to break it down into different categories. It's going to show you images. It's going to show you your projects that you've already created. And then it's going to show you the ready to make projects. And then of course, community projects too, right? So again, when you type in the keyword search, a world of just many possibilities will open up for you. So you will be able to really explore and find exactly what you're looking for. So what we're going to do one way is just by typing in the keywords note card set workshop, right? So it's actually, we're going to add workshop after the note card set. And again, you will get to see that live once I go in. Once we look for that set, I will show you where that Cricut project is for today's workshop. And it actually looks a little bit different than what you're seeing on my slide. So I will point it out. It's actually the one that's right underneath it, because we've made a little change there. So you will be able to see it under the Cricut project. So that's one way of searching for it, by using that keyword search, right? When you do it this way and you find it, you click on it. Once you click on it, you're going to get this pop-up screen that appears. And again, this is what I love about the ready to make projects. It gives you a ton of information. So it's going to show you, and you see what's highlighted here. It's going to show you the finished size. So essentially, what is the size of the project? It gives you a description. It gives you the materials to cut, everything else you need, a step-by-step of how to put together this project. And what's really great is there's always a little print icon near the description that you can click on, and you can print this through your home printer and have your instructions printed out. So then remember how I mentioned reviewing the instructions? You have it printed out. You can have it right next to you, so you can reference that as you're working on your project, and especially when you're assembling it. Again, here's more of what it's offering you, and it's taking you through that 3-step process: the cutting portion, assembling. There's a more help section. So there's links for more help. And then I love this. It's going to list all of the images and fonts that are used in the project, right? So let's say you really like that one image or that one font, you have the name of it. So you can write it down, jot it down, use it for another project, right? So you have that information available to you. So at the bottom of that screen, you're going to have 2 options where you can either make it, or you can customize or edit a copy. It's either going to say customize or edit a copy, right? So maybe you just want to make it. Maybe you're new to card making and you just want to make something. Go ahead and click on that make it button, and it's going to immediately take you to your prepare screen, and then your machine is going to cut it out, right? Keep in mind though, if you're going to make it, review that finished size that's listed in the instructions so you know exactly the size of your card. If for some reason you decide, you know what, I actually want to customize it, then you can just select customize or select edit a copy, And then you can just make whatever modifications you need to your design, really make it your own. Again, maybe you want to add some text to the card, personalize it. You want to resize it. You want to change the color of it, right? These are all the things that we're going to be doing today. So you can customize that option as well. A second method to search for today's project is through a community member search. So if you know someone who's created a project you like, you can search for their username and browse through their projects. So this example right here, this is one of our other coaches, Coach Kesley, and she's actually one that created the project we're going to be working on today. So you can search for Kesley Anderson and see all of the projects that she has shared. And you'll notice right here where I'm circling around, there's the note card set workshop project that we're going to be creating, right? So that's in her profile right there. So this is a great way to find inspiration and connect with other creative folks who use Design Space. The last way that you can find a project is by sharing a project link. So we will share the project link with you after we go through some of these different steps here. So if someone sends you a link to a project, you simply just click on it and it will take you directly to that project in Design Space. Again, it's really that easy. So, I hope that makes you confident when you're looking for these ready to make projects. And just to zoom in right there, when you click on a shared project, it's going to open up in your web browser, right? So the same program that you're using to access your websites on the internet, it's going to do the same thing. And by default, most computers are set up to open web links in a new tab or a window. So you can change that. You can change your computer settings to always open up Cricut links, specifically when you click on them. So when you click on that link, again, it's going to give you this option to open the Cricut Design Space desktop application, right? And it'll open right up into Design Space for you. Okay, so again, a couple ways of searching for this project, and we're going to go through that live once again once we go into the actual project. Now, when you actually click on that edit a copy or customize, this is what you're going to see on your screen, right? So the project we've created for you today, there's going to be two parts to it. The first part you're going to see immediately on your canvas is a blank slate. So here's all the different elements. You have your envelope, here's your envelope insert, here's one of the blank cards that we're going to be creating. This round circle right here is going to be, if you see it in my envelope here, it's a little hello seal that we're going to create as well. So you have that available to you, available for you to customize and really make it your own, right? So think of like choose your own adventure kind of thing, right? You could do that with your card making. Now, what makes this really exciting is you have the blank slate up there. Over in the layers panel, and if you're not familiar with the layers panel, you sign up for our 101 and our 102. We talk a lot about that layers panel. But real quick, in the layers panel, we have some layers that are hidden. And the last one that's hidden in that layers panel is the final version, the make it version, right? So if you unhide that in your layers panel, this will pop up, right? So we are giving you the finished product too. So if you notice, you know what, you just want to make the finished product, or as you're crafting along, maybe you're making this project after today and you're having a challenge, or you're getting frustrated, you have the full project there as well that you can fall back on, right? And just know that I'm going to be sharing different design elements. So you're going to get a couple different choices that you can work on. So again, we're going to get to explore that in just a little bit once we go in there live. So right here is just sharing, different pops of color, right? So this green is representing my envelope insert. I'm actually going to be using a unique pattern to really make it visually appealing and to really pop, right? So keep that in mind when you're working with your envelope. Choosing a fun, colorful envelope can really add that extra excitement to your card. And if you think about it, when you go to the store and you buy a card, are those envelopes ever exciting? Do they ever have fun patterns, right? So here's your opportunity to make it even more unique and special when you're making that card for someone that you love. So here we're showing you some of the different options of what you can create with this note card set, right? So there's different designs here that we're going to be looking at and really exploring. So, don't be afraid to experiment with different design elements so you can really see where your imagination is going to take you. And when I go in live, I'm actually going to be creating 3 different cards, right? One is going to be just some text. The second one is going to be some text and offset, which is the second card right here. See how there's that little border, that green border? That's the offset. And then the third one is actually going to be adding an image to a blank card. So you're going to have 3 different designs that you can work with. So again, here's that second one that has the text and it has that border, that offset border right there. One thing you want to keep in mind when you open up a project, a ready-to-make project, many times the project will be all grouped together. And what that means is if you were to move it around the canvas, it's all one piece, right? So many times if you want to work on a specific layer, you have to come over to the layers panel and you'll notice it says group. At the top of the layers panel, that first icon is the group icon. That's where you would ungroup it, right? So again, grouping is a helpful feature to keep all of your design elements together. When something's grouped, you can move it across the canvas together, you can resize it. But if you want to work on individual pieces, you need to click on ungroup, which is the same button as group, and then you're able to work on each individual piece independently, right? Another thing you'll notice about this design is there's some score lines, right? So it's represented by these dashes right here. And I mentioned how those score lines are giving you that nice, precise line to really fold your material. So it really makes it easier for you to create some professional projects with ease, okay? Whenever you add a score line, if it's not already there, you want to make sure that you're using the attach feature to hold the score line in place. And again, we talk about attach in our 102 class, right? So attach freezes your design in place. It tells your machine, I need you to do exactly what I've created on my canvas right here. Okay, so if you're working with the Cricut Joy, you know that you don't have that scoring tool that's scoring, so you would need to hide your score line, which again, I will point out to you as we go through the live portion of designing it. Okay, and again, if you don't have any kind of scoring tool, I will show you just a simple, easy way to create a score line using, again, the tools that you have that you're already using for crafting, right? So again, when you open up this project and it's indicated right here, you're going to notice that there's the Customize It note card set at the top, which is the one that we're going to be creating our own design. And then there's some sections that are going to be hidden layers. Those are the completed portions of your design already. Okay, so they are there whenever you need them. And of course, if you don't finish the project and you want to just finish it, you can click on those hidden layers and make your project. Okay. So again, here is that finished project right there, that make it section. If you're looking for more classes, more resources, if you go to our Cricut Learn website, which is learn.cricut.com, it's actually where you would sign up for this workshop. It's where you would see all of our schedule of classes. There are on-demand classes on that site that you can join for free. So we've got our live workshops, and then we have these on-demand classes that you can watch anytime. So again, tons and tons of resources just on the Cricut Learn website and even on social media, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. But again, I've shared a ton of information with you already. So who's ready to start making some cards? Can I get some thumbs up? Can I get some of those emojis? There we go. I see. Whoa, there's so many. Oh my goodness. There are so many going up. Wow. That is amazing. That is so exciting. So again, I know I've shared a ton of information with you. Oh, they're still going. They are still going. I know I've shared a ton of information with you. That's why we're recording today's class. And we will be sharing that recording with you. If you go into the chat, you can get that link already, okay? Before we jump into the design portion, I do want to launch another polling question. And I'm curious to know, are you going to be crafting along or do you just want to watch? And again, there's no wrong answer here, right? If you want to craft along, go for it. If you just want to watch, you are more than welcome to just watch. You're getting the recording. You can always make the project later on. This is just so we can really gauge what folks are doing while they're watching the workshop. So I'm going to keep that open for just a little bit. Katie, one of our Cricut experts, how are we doing out there? How are folks doing? Any questions we want to just mention?
We do have quite a few. So we can go over that before we get into the presentation. Probably the most asked question was, where did Coach find the project? We haven't gotten there yet, but Coach is going to show everyone where to find their project. So do not stress about it. We're all going to find the same project and get there together. Something that came up quite a few times is about scoring on the Joy, and the Joy doesn't have a scoring stylus or a scoring tool. And some people asked about if they don't have the scoring wheel, can they override it to score manually or use the stylus? And you can, and Coach is going to cover that. Coach is going to cover how to clean your mats. So don't worry about that. Somebody said something about fur. We've got tons of that in this house. So Coach will definitely give you some great tips on that. We just have a lot of people who are really excited to be here. Somebody asked about the difference between attach and weld, and that's something we cover in our 102 class. And if you want to sign up for upcoming classes, the link to that is in the chat. You will get the link to the recording. Now you guys will get that via email, but we'll drop it again in the chat before the end of the workshop. So we'll give you guys enough time. If you want to just click on that link and pull it up on YouTube, you can go ahead and just have that open, copy it from there. You'll get it in your email, but it does take about 72 hours. So if you do want to if you're so excited and you want to watch it again right after class, go ahead and grab that in the chat when we drop it. And again, we'll do that before the end of class and give you enough time to do that. So I think that about covers everything. And then if anything comes up during class, we'll go ahead and go over that and the next time we stop and chat.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Katie. Yeah, continue to ask those questions because we've got Katie, Christine, we've got Jesse, we've got Kesley. We're working behind the scenes to answer your questions. So feel free to ask any questions. If you're crafting along with us, and you miss a step or you have a question, they can help catch you up. And of course, if we do need to answer anything live, we will do that. So I'm going to end this polling question. I'm curious to know who is crafting or who is watching. So it looks like 57% of you plan to soak in all the information and we'll make the project later, which again, totally fine. I probably would do the same. I'm a big note taker, so I would be taking lots of notes. 43% plan to work along with the class. Great. And if you notice as you're working along and you decide to stop, again, you have the recording that you can fall back on. So, no worries if that happens, right? You do have that available to you. All right. So if you haven't already, you want to make sure to turn on your machine, of course, and open up Design Space because we want to make sure you don't have any updates that need to take place. just so you can jump right in to our class. So I'm going to go ahead, continue to ask those questions, and those emojis, they're still going. I love them. That was amazing. I hope one of our experts got a screenshot of all of those thumbs going up. That was just pretty cool. Oh, they're going now. All right, I'm going to share my. Yes.
I don't think we got a screenshot, so we may have to do it again.
Oh my gosh, here they go. Here they go, Kesley. Here, I'll do a thumbs up while someone get a screenshot. Oh, look at that. Look at the fireworks behind me. That was pretty epic. All right, we are having too much fun here. All right, I'm going to share my screen, but this time, oh my gosh, look at those emojis. I'm going to share my screen, but this time I'm in Design Space. So I know that we have a large portion of our group that this is their first Cricut workshop. If you are new to working in Cricut and working in Design Space, here we are at the home screen, right? This is the first place you're going to visit. And you know, our 101 class, which is our getting started class, we spend a ton of time talking about the home screen. And not only does the home screen have lots of information and images, there's also even videos in the home screen as well that you can check out. So feel free to scroll through that home screen, not right now, but after class, and really see what you have available to you in terms of resources. All right, we're going to jump right in. So I'm going to show you how to search for that project. We're going to show you a couple different ways, right? So the first way of searching, if you remember from the presentation, we're going to come up to the top of your home screen right here. There's a search box. And again, it says right in there that you can search images, projects, fonts, or profiles. So in the search box, I'm going to go ahead and type in Notecard, and it's two separate words, Notecard Set Workshop. So again, Notecard Set Workshop. And once I do that, it's giving me over 50,000 results. Now, if your number is different from mine, don't worry, right? It depends on what type of Cricut access you have. So don't worry if the number's not the same. And again, it's going to break it down into different categories. It's going to break it down into images. It's going to break it down into those ready to make projects, which look at that. That's the project we're working on. It's the first one for me. Ready to make projects. There's community projects in here, right? If I scroll down, it's going to show me my projects as well. But in the second section where it says projects, there's that. For me, it comes up right there. It's the Notecard Set Workshop, right? And if I click on it, it's going to give me that pop-up screen that I mentioned before. Okay, so again, it's the Notecard Set Workshop. Here's the pop-up screen, and it has all this information. Here's my description, right? Which I can print out if I want to, so I can reference it later on. It's going to give me the images, the fonts that are used in this project as well. There's even related project at the bottom, right? And at the very bottom, you have the option to make it or edit a copy, right? And if I click on that make it button, it's immediately going to go to my review screen, my prepare screen, and then my machine is going to cut it out. If I want to customize it, I would click on that edit copy. All right, so I'm going to do it one more time, and then we're going to move on to the second way. So again, in the search bar, you're going to type in Notecard Set Workshop. All right, so Notecard Set Workshop, and it's going to break it down into these different categories, and it's those Cricut projects, right? And for me, it's the first one. The name of the creator is Kesley Anderson, right? So that's one way of looking for it. I mentioned how you could also look by the person who created it, right? So I mentioned Kesley. So if I type in Kesley's name, Kesley Anderson, right? So it's going to give me results again. It's going to give me images, projects, if I keep scrolling down, there's a community members section, and Kesley's the first one that's listed right there. If I click on her name, it's going to give me her profile, and here's her shared projects. And I look for the Notecard set workshop, right? If I click out of it, just so you can see, she's got all her projects here. For me, it's the second one under her shared projects. And if I click on it, it's going to give me that pop-up screen again. Okay. So that's a second way of searching for this project. A third way is by sending you a link. So if I can have one of my Cricut experts put the link to the project. Thank you, Katie. So in the chat, we've just listed the link, right? So we've just listed that link, and you can go ahead and click on it, right? And it's going to open it up in your web browser. And just know that you have the option to open it in the desktop application, right? So it's going to open it up in your Cricut Design Space app, right? On your computer or on your mobile or tablet device. So you can just go to the chat and just click on that link, and it's going to open it up for you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just click on this one off of Kesley's profile. And again, at the bottom, there's the option to make it or to edit a copy. So again, if you just want to make it, you can. Just know that it's going to make it exactly how it's been created. And actually, some of those layers are hidden. So it's going to cut out the blank slate one. So for today, I would definitely click on the edit a copy, right? And this is what's going. Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Sure.
I'm just saying a couple comments. If you would remind people about when they're looking for a project or an image and their machine selection.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So here I am in the canvas, right? So if you notice, you are actually, you know what, I'm going to go back to the homepage. I'll show you right here. If you notice that your machine, let's say you have a Cricut Joy, or you have a Cricut Joy, for example, and you notice that you're not able to find that project right there after you've done this search, right? When you go into your canvas, all right, and at the top of the canvas right here on the right hand side, you have your machine selection. So you see on mine, it says Maker 3. There's a little drop down arrow right there. If I click on that drop down arrow, it allows me to change the machine I'm using, right? So what happens a lot of times is, especially if you're on a Joy, might be images that are bigger than they would work on a Joy. So how do you get around that? What you would do is you would select a different machine selection, right? So select anything else besides the Joy, because that's going to give you a bigger opportunity to pick a larger image, right? So you would select a different machine selection, and then now you can go in, search for that image. Once you add it to your canvas, if it is bigger than what would work on a Joy, you would resize it so it fits on your Joy, and then come right back and search and change your machine selection to the actual machine that you are using. So that's like a little way to get around using some of those images that you might not be able to use before. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and bring back that note card set. And again, I'm going to click on edit a copy. So here we go. So now I'm on back on my canvas. I have my blank pieces, my blank slates, right? If I come over to my layers panel, I have right at the top of the layers panel, it says customize it. So I have the customize section. I have all the layers underneath. If I go towards the bottom of it, there's this portion that's hidden, right? And it's grayed out, it's ghosted out. That's the make it part. So if I was to click on it, let me hide it for 1 second and move it over. I was to click on it, it's going to add it onto my canvas. And I'll just hide this one so you can see it. So if I click on it, I'm now bringing it back onto my canvas. I have it right there for you. Okay, so just to let you know that it is available there if you want to make it, or you notice that you're not going to finish the project and you want to make something, you can go ahead and just unhide it and it'll bring it back. And again, once you unhide it, if you want to hide it again, you would just click on that little eyeball in the layers panel. And now I'm going to go back up to the top because now my customize one is hidden, and bring that back. Okay. So we have all our different elements right here. We have our envelope with our envelope insert. We have our blank cards right here. There's even a folded card right here if you wanted to create a fun folded card. Okay. I'm actually going to hide this folded card because for today's class, I'm going to just be working with this flat card right here. The Make It project has a folded card option available to you. Okay. Now, the first thing I notice is when I click on the project, it's all grouped together, right? So it's all grouped together right here. So, which is fine if I need to move it around, it stays together. But if I want to work on a specific layer, I need to ungroup it. So to ungroup it is the same action as grouping it, right? So if I come over to the layers panel, right at the top of the layers panel, there's three little icons. The first icon, if I hover over it, it says ungroup. It's giving me that ungroup option. So if I go ahead and click on it, immediately I notice that it no longer says customize it, right? And then now each layer is an individual layer. So now I can click on it, move it around, and drag it. Okay. So my folded card, I'm actually going to go ahead and just delete it. And just by deleting it, I'm just going to delete it on my keyboard. I'm hitting the delete button. You can click on it and come up to the top of the layers panel and just click on that little trash can right there. I just don't need it. Again, it is part of the Make It portion. This is actually what you're making, this little thinking of you folded card there. But for this customized portion there, we're not going to focus in on that, okay? So first thing I want to do before I start creating these blank cards is I want to talk about the envelope and make a couple little changes there with the envelope. So you notice that the envelope is represented by two different colors. So the red color is representing my main envelope, and then this dark gray color is my insert, right? So it's really important that you change the colors of these objects, right? Because when you go to click on Make It, your machine is going to separate them onto different mats, right? According to what colors you're going to be using, okay? So I'm going to be using a pattern paper for my envelope insert, and then I'm going to be using actually a mustard yellow for my envelope. So I can go ahead and change those colors so it represents that. I like to try to pick the colors that I'm going to use because I really want to see what that finished product is going to look like before I click on that Make It button. Plus, when I save this and I go back, I can see what colors, what colors I used for my project. So I'm going to go ahead and click on my envelope there. And immediately when I click on it, I get a bounding box around it, which means it's selected. To change the color of it, I need to go up to the edit bar, right, which is right below your header bar. And over on the left-hand side where it says operation, there's a little square next to operation, which is normally where you would change the color. In this case, there's a red line through it, which means I'm not allowed to change the color of it. So immediately that's kind of like a sign of, what do I need to do to fix that, right? So when I notice that, I immediately look at my layers panel where it says envelope, which is highlighted. And I notice it's because I have my envelope and then I have my envelope score line, right? So that's why it's not allowing me to change the color of it. So how do you get around that? If you hover over and just click on envelope, immediately it selects the envelope. And now when I come over to that edit bar next to operation, there's now a red box there, which is the current color. So now I can click on it and change the color of my envelope. So
Hey,
you get
Coach.
yes.
Really quickly, I know that you have a bigger monitor, so you're seeing a lot more of your screen, but we have a lot of people who are saying that they can't see everything. Can you just quickly show us how on our Design Space canvas we can zoom out to see more of our screen for larger projects?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You want to zoom in or zoom out according to what you're doing. At the bottom of your canvas over here, in the bottom left corner is your zoom function right there, right? So you're going to see when I hover over it, it says 100% and there's a plus and minus, right? So if I want to make my canvas bigger or smaller, I can just click on that and that's going to help me to really zoom in and zoom out. Okay. Another thing too is if you want to make your layers panel come out more or try to make it smaller, if I come to the edge of where the layers panel and the canvas is, right, that allows me to also play with moving items around, right? So I can make this bigger or smaller as well. So it's giving you a couple options to be able to see everything on your canvas right there, okay? So now I go back to clicking on envelope, my red envelope here. And next to the operation type, I'm going to go ahead and change the color of it. I'm going to do kind of like this like mustard yellow right there. Okay, so that's going to allow me to do that mustard yellow. Now, for those of you on a Joy, or if you don't have a scoring tool, right, there's a score line that's already built in over here. And if you don't have a scoring tool, how do you get around that, right? So what you can do is you come over to your layers panel, look for the envelope again, and there's the envelope score. Go ahead and select it. And then you have the option to hide it, right? So you can just hide that score line, or you could delete it, right? I would hide it because, again, if all of a sudden you do get a score line down the road and you want to do this project again, you already have it built in right there. So you can just hide your score line. So just know that you would just come over to your layers panel. There's a second score line in the envelope insert. I would just click on it, and then I have the option to hide it, right? And in my machine will only cut out whatever is visible on my canvas. Anything hidden in the layers panel will not be cut out by my machine, okay? So, okay, I've changed the color of my envelope. I'm going to leave my insert this dark gray because it's a pattern that I'm going to be using. I'm using this floral pattern. So I really don't need to change the color of that. So I'm just going to leave that alone as well. So let's make our first blank card right here. So here's my first blank card. I'm actually going to be making 3 cards. So the first thing I want to do is I want to make 2 more templates right here. And to make another set of templates, right, for this one, I'm just going to click on it, make sure there's a bounding box around it. And if I come up to the layers panel, at the top of the layers panel, the middle icon, that's your duplicate function. So if I go ahead and click on it, it immediately makes another blank card that I can just move over here. Right? So again, you just come up to the top of your layers panel, right in the middle where it says duplicate. And now I have 3 blank cards to work with, right? So this is all part of my note card set that I'm going to use.
Hey, Coach.
Yes.
Can you go over how to change the color again, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So let's use one of these blank note cards as an example. Okay, so let's see. So the first design I'm going to do is I'm just going to add some text. and it's going to say from the desk of Danny, right? So if I was making a set of cards and I wanted to say from the desk of Danny, I'm going to make a note card. Now for this one, I'm going to cut it out on a orange cardstock, right? So I'm going to go ahead and change the color of it. So I make sure it's selected. Again, bounding box around it means it's selected. Come up to the edit bar. The edit bar is right below your header bar, all your tools there. And if you come over onto the left-hand side where it says operation, operation is what your machine is going to do to your project. Right next to it, there's a little square, which is going to be the same color as your current image that you're working on. You click on it, you get your material colors right there. And you can select from these material colors. There's an advanced feature that you click on and it gives you pretty much any type of color you want to select. If you have the code for the specific color, you're working in like a Pantone, you can go ahead and type in that code as well. I tend to work with just those primary colors that are up there, but again, it does have an advanced feature for you as well. So this one's going to be like an orange. So I'm going to go ahead and change that color right there. Okay. So this one's going to be orange. My second one, I'm going to, let's see, this one, I'm going to make it white. So it's going to be a white cardstock. So I'm going to be adding some color to the text. So again, if I want to change the color of this one, same thing. I select it, make sure it's selected, come up to the edit bar. On the left-hand side where it says operation, there's a little light gray box. I'm going to select white. So that's my second one. And then my third one, I'm going to use, I'm actually going to do this mustard yellow that I'm using for my envelope as well. So again, it's selected, come up to the edit bar, over by operation, click on the light gray little box there, and I'm going to select that same mustard color. So I have my 3 blank cards and I've already changed the colors of them. So my machine knows when to cut them out when I'm using the right cardstock that I'm going to place on my mats right there. Okay, so I'm going to start with my orange one first. And again, I'm just going to add some simple text. It's going to say from the desk of Danny. So to add text, we're going to come over to the left-hand side, over to the design panel, and we're going to click on the text icon. I'm going to go ahead and just drag the text over here so you can see it. Whenever you add a text box, it's always going to give you that default font of Cricut Sans, right? Once it places it down, I actually ended up moving it, but once it places it down on your canvas, you can just start typing, right? You don't have to really click on anything. So I'm going to go ahead and just start typing from the desk of, Danny. And I'm actually going to make it a little bit smaller so you can see it. So from the desk of Danny, just one line right there. So again, this is the Cricut Sans default font. If you want to change the font, right, you come up to the second edit bar that now appears. And for those of you on those mobile or those tablet devices, if you click on edit, you're going to get your pop-up menu, right, to get additional editing tools. For those of you on a desktop or a laptop, a second edit bar will appear below your first edit bar, right? That's related just to text. And that first option, it says font, right? So I'm going to change my font to a font called Favorite Fonts Collection. It's a free font. But if you want to stick with Cricut Sans, you are more than welcome to. If you want to pick a different font, you can. Again, this is where you get to choose your own adventure, right? So you can pick whatever you'd like. So I go ahead and I change the font. Now, I'm not done with the text yet because I notice when I look at my layers panel, right at the top where it says from the desk of Danny, the operation type, which is underneath, says basic cut, which means my machine is going to cut this out, right? So I need to change the operation to write because I want my machine to write it out, not to cut it out, right? I want my machine to be able to draw this saying right here. So to change that, I come back up to my edit bar, the first one that says operation on the left-hand side, and there's basic cut with the drop-down menu. I click on that and it gives me a drop-down menu of different operations. I'm going to go ahead and select pen, which is under the draw option. So immediately it changes it now to pen, which means my machine is now going to draw my writing for me. You'll notice it's kind of like this bubble style, which is totally fine if that's what you want to do. However, what if you want an actual writing style? You can do that. So you would come back up to your text edit bar, that second edit bar, and next to font, there's a style option, which is going to be set right now to regular. If I click on the drop-down menu, it gives me different options: regular, bold, bold, italic, italic. The last one is writing. So if I click on writing, it now changes my text to a writing style. Okay, so you want to make sure, again, you come up to your edit bars, that the operation is set to pen, and then the style is set to writing if you want that writing style. Okay, so now I can take my from the desk of Danny and start to place it on my blank card. You notice how it's bigger than my blank card, right? So I need to resize it, and I'm going to manually resize it. To manually resize it, I'm going to just go to any corner of my text, right, of that box, and you get this up and down arrow. And if you click and drag, you can make it bigger or smaller. So I'm going to go ahead and make it a little bit smaller, so it's going to fit. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring it up to the top, and I'm going to just manually center it right there. And then when I click away from it, I can see what it looks like, right? So that's my first design. However, I'm not done with that design just yet, because right now the text and the card are two separate layers. So if I was to click on make it, my machine is going to separate them. And I want my machine to write from the desk of Danny on my card. So to do that, I have to use the attach function, because again, the attach function is going to freeze my design in place, right? So to do that, I need to select my text and I need to select my card, right? I need to select both of them. All right. And I can do that by clicking anywhere on the canvas away from them and draw this box and just hover over the two of them, and they're both selected. Or depending on what type of device you're using, I could click on the text and then hold the shift key and click on the second object, right? So there's different, think about how you use your own device, your own computer, whether you're working in another application to select something, right? So they're both selected. If I want to double check to make sure they're both selected, I come over to the layers panel. From the desk of Danny has that minty green color underneath it. And the note card blank, the orange note card blank, has that listed too. So they're both, yes.
We are getting a lot of people saying that they don't have writing under style. So I'm assuming that they didn't choose a writing font. Can you show us in Design Space how to use those filters under text, not only to find writing fonts, but for those who don't have Cricut access, how to also find free writing fonts, please?
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you.
So I'm going to go ahead and just attach this first, and then I'll go back in and show you guys how to find those, how to filter through to make sure you find a writing font. So I make sure these are both selected. And then at the bottom of my layers panel where my action icons are, I see that the attach function is activated. If I go ahead and click on it, it now attaches it. If I look at the top of my layers panel, and now it says attach from the desk of Danny, and then there's a note card blank, and I can move it around, and this is now one design, right? Okay, so now that is one design. I'm going to work on the second design, and when I add the text, I will show you how to do those filters. All right, so for my second blank, I'm going to move this one just out of the way here. I'm going to work with my second blank, which is going to be the white one. And I'm going to add another text that says, love you so much. So to add some text, we're going to come over to the design panel, click on text. And again, it adds it right here. I could start typing, but I'm just going to move it out of the way so you could see it. And of course, it's going to now default to the font that I selected before, which is favorite fonts collection. So I'm going to just double click on it so I can start typing. And just think about, again, if you're working in like a Microsoft Word, you would double click on something to highlight it and you could start typing. Or if you need to change a file folder name on your desktop, how would you do that? It's the same operation. So I'm going to go ahead and write love you so much. Make it a little bit smaller here. And this time I'm going to change the font of it. So to change the font, come up to that second edit bar where it says font, click on it. Now, I typed in the search bar exactly what I'm looking for, but I'm going to go ahead and just delete it. And now it's giving me all these different fonts. It's giving me over 1,000 different fonts. If I want to filter through perfect fonts that are for writing, if I come over to the right-hand side of this drop-down menu, there's these two little gears right there. If I click on them, it gives me different filters. So you can actually click on different filters, and there's a writing filter. If you go ahead and click on writing, it's now going to narrow it down to any fonts that are going to work for writing, right? So now I can see favorite fonts collection came up, right? Because it's a great writing style font. So if you filter through clicking on those gears to a writing style font, you'll be able to make sure you have that writing option from the style menu, right? So for this love you so much, I'm going to use a font called Little White Lies. So I'm going to type that in the search bar and it comes up. And again, right underneath the font, it'll tell you it's a single layer and it's also a writing style font. So I know that that's going to work. So I click on that and it immediately changes that font for me, right? And because I actually did the filters, I notice, I'm just going to drag it onto my blank card. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. Because I did the filters, I immediately notice when I go to the edit bar to check my operation type, it's already set to pen. It's going to draw it. And then my font edit bar, the style is already set to writing. So I know that that's all squared away. The only difference with this one is I want to change the color of it. I'm actually going to use, I have this pink crystal pen right here that I'm going to be using, and I want to change the color of my text. So how do you change the color of your text? You're going to change the color just like you would change the color of your cards, like we did before. So I would make sure it's selected, and then I come up to the edit bar where it says operation. There's a pen selected. Right next to it, there's a box right there, a little square. If you click on that, it's going to now give you different colors that you can select. But before you select the color, there's a drop-down menu to select the type of pen you're going to use, right? So your Cricut pens, if you look at them, they're going to tell you what size tip they are, right? So the one that comes with your machine is a 0.4 tip, which is your fine point. So if I'm going to use this pink crystal one, and again, you can use any color. If you just want to use your black marker, your black pen that comes with your machine, you're more than welcome to. So if I look at it, it says it's a pink 4 tip, which is the fine point. So that's selected. And now I can scroll through and find the color I'm going to use, which is pink crystal right here. I go ahead and select that, and it immediately changes the color for me. Okay. So now the color of the text has changed. What if I want to add a little border around my card here, right? We're going to use a feature that you might have worked with already, and it's called offset. So we're going to add a negative offset. So we're going to add a border inside the card. You can add an offset the outside of the card, right? We're going to add one in the inside. So we're going to give it a negative offset. So to add offset, I'm going to click on my card, make sure it's selected. If I come up to my edit bar, over by, over towards like the middle, I would say, depending on the size of your monitor. For me, it's more in the middle of the edit bar. You're going to see the offset option. And there's a little drop down arrow. So I click on that and it's going to give you the distance. So right now it's set to 0.25, right? And I want to do a negative offset. So I'm putting in a border inside my card, right? So if I can, there's this little guide here that I can just start moving, and you see, you actually, if you look at the card, you start to see what that border is going to look like. If I pass the middle, you start to enter the negative portion of your card. So I'm going to do about a negative 1.25. So I'm just dragging the little lever here, but I could actually type in that number too, right? So you can type in the number, and then you have the option to select what you want that border to look like. A curved border, do you want it to have more of a angular look to it, right? So I'm going to keep it curved right there, and then I want to click apply. Now it's going to change the color of it, right? And the reason why is because my machine is treating it as a basic cut layer, like it wants to cut it out. But I want my machine to draw this border around my card. So once again, I don't have to touch anything because it's selected right now. I can just come up to my edit bar, over by operation, click on the drop-down menu. Right now, basic cut is selected. And if I go down to draw and I select pen, it now is giving me this little thin border. Okay, and I could leave it as a black border, or if I want to use my pink crystal pen again, I just click on the little box right next to operation to change the color. And I scroll through and select pink crystal. So now when I click away from it, you could see I have this nice little border and it says love you so much that I'm going to use my pink crystal for. Okay. So how are folks doing out there? I know we're sharing a ton of information with you. Again, this is why you're getting the recording. And just know when you get that recording, you get to just, you can pause, you can go back, right? So just know that you do have that available to you, and continue to ask questions, of course, because we're here to help you. So I'm going to move on to the third blank card. If you're still working on your second one, no worries, keep working on it. I'm going to move on to the third blank card here. And now I'm going to add an image. So I'm going to add an image. So if you want to add an image, right, any kind of image to any kind of project, you're going to come over to your design panel and you're going to click on the little hot air balloon that says images, right? And that's going to open up Cricut Access. And here we've got all our different categories, or you could type in the search box exactly what you're looking for. So I'm looking for an image that says hello. So I'm just going to go ahead and type in the word hello. And tons of different hello options, right? It's telling me that there's a little over 3,000. So over on the left-hand side, I can filter through all of these different images. So the first filter is the free filter, right? So I want to filter, I want a free image. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that free. And it immediately brings it down from over 3,000 to five images. So now we have 5 images here. And I'm going to select the third one, which says hello, beautiful. I'm going to go ahead and select that third image. All I did was I just typed in the word hello, right? And then I clicked on the free filter and it brought me down to these 5 options. That might be different for you again, so just don't worry if the numbers do not match up. So I select this image, I get that green bounding box around it, and I'm going to go ahead and click add to canvas. So it's going to add my image onto my canvas. I'm going to move it over here.
Hey, Coach.
Yes.
Before we continue more with this, can you go back to the offset? We have quite a few people who are a little bit confused about that. And can you explain what we are offsetting? Because I think some people accidentally grabbed a couple layers.
Absolutely. So I'm going to come over. I'm going to come back to, I'm going to put my Hello Beautiful just off to the side here. So I'm going to come back to my Love You So Much. Right. And I'm actually going to delete the offset so we can do it together. So what are we offsetting? We're actually offsetting the blank card, right? We're not offsetting Love You So. So just this one blank card we're offsetting. So you want to just select one item, right? So you're selecting one note card blank, right? So once you select it, and again, how do you double check your work? Come over to the layers panel. I like to say it's this roadmap for you. So look at the layers panel and you're able to see what is selected, right? In this case, you only want one item selected, which is the note card blank. So now that it's selected, I'm going to come up to the edit bar in the middle where it says offset, right? When you click on the little drop-down menu, you get this little pop-up menu here. And offset is you're adding a border essentially, right, to it, and it's based on how big you want it to be. So right now it's going to default to 0.25. And if I look at my Love You So Much, you see that there's this thin blue line. That is the current offset that's going to be created unless I change the size of it, right? So then you have this guide right here, this like lever that you can move. You can actually move it closer to creating an offset on the outside of the border card, or you can move it to the other side, which creates an offset of border inside. So I want to do an inside border for it, right? So I need to take this current like little circle that's on that guide, on that grid, and just bring it over. As you bring it over, it enters a negative. So I've decided to do negative 0.125. You can make your offset as big or as little as you want it to be. So I'm doing negative 0.125. I could also type in this box right here, a little dash for negative 0.125. Right? And then you click on the apply button, and it turns my inside part of my card where I've added that offset all one color, right? Because again, my machine is treating this as a layer that it's going to cut out, and I want it to actually draw that little border, right? So all I need to do, I don't touch anything, right? It's still selected. I come up to the edit bar where it says operation, selected, it's listed as basic cut, click on it and change it to pen. And immediately that full color disappears, and I just have this nice thin offset border that I've created. And then I'm taking it a step further, and I'm just changing the color next to the operation to my pink crystal, so it matches my Love You So. Okay. If you offset can be a little bit challenging if you've never worked with it. So feel free not to even use it if you don't want to, right? If you want to hold off on working in offset, go ahead. You don't have to add it, right? It's just, we're just giving you those options again, so you can really choose your adventure when it comes to creating these cards. So I'm going to move on to my last one, and I have this Hello Beautiful image, right? So my Hello Beautiful, it has the two words hello and beautiful, and it's got these flowers. And when I come over to the layers panel, it's right at the top. There's all these different layers to it. So what if I just want to use the word hello? Because it's different layers, I can either delete or hide some of these other items. So if I click on the flowers, see how the flowers are now selected right here? I can hide them, or I can just delete them. And now that's gone. If I come back to the layers panel again and I click on beautiful with the stems and I go ahead and delete it, it's now gone. And now all I have is my hello that I can work with, and I can add it to my canvas. Okay. So all I did was I took that hello beautiful image so if you find an image that's got multiple layers and you don't want to use all the layers, you can just go to the layers panel, click on the layer that you don't want, and you can delete it or you can hide it. If you might want to use it later on, go ahead and just hide it, right? You do have that option available to you. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and drag it onto my blank card, and I'm going to make it this big size right here, because I think it's fun. It's going to look really great on that card. And real quick, I just double check to make sure in the layers panel where it says hello beautiful, it's listed as draw. So that means my machine is going to draw it. If I wanted to change it again, I would go up to the edit bar and click on operation and change it to draw instead of basic cut. Okay, but it's going to draw it, so I don't have to do anything there. All I need to do now is select my hello, which is selected right now, and my blank card. So I'm selecting both items so I can now attach it, right? So both are selected, double check my work. Hello beautiful is selected and the note card blank is selected. Come down to the bottom of the layers panel, click on attach, and now this one is ready to go. Now I will mention, I actually did not attach my Love You So to my blank. So I want to make sure that that one is also attached. So my machine writes the Love You So on my blank card right there. Okay. So again, to attach the two of them, I select the Love You So and I select my note card, and also I need to select my offset, which is my border right there. So I could keep, what I could do is I can come over to the layers panel and select them in there, or I could also take my cursor, click anywhere away from it, and just drag a box over the entire thing, and they're all selected. And if I come over to the layers panel, I have 3 items selected: Love You So Much text, the offset, and the note card blank. So now I come down to the bottom of my layers panel and click on attach, and now it's all attached. So I have my 3 blank cards, my 3 designed cards now ready to go. I have my envelope insert ready. All I need now is I have this little circle right here, which is going to be, I'm going to do a little hello text right in that circle right there. So I want to make sure that I change that. Now, what I might want to do is change the color of my circle. Again, so I'm using the right colored cardstock, and I'm reusing some of these colors. So I want to make sure that I'm really maximizing my matte when I'm placing the cardstock on there, so it's cutting out the right elements there. So for my hello sticker, I think I'm going to do my orange right here. I think that's going to look nice on top of that mustard yellow. It's giving it like a nice autumn colors there. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it. It's already selected. Come up to the edit bar. Next to operation, there's that little square that's that light gray. Go ahead and select orange. So I've changed. Yes.
Can you go over a few things for us?
Sure.
Can you go over how to use a line to line everything up really accurately? Can you show us how to use a range if one of our layers got stuck behind the other? And
Absolutely.
then if you wanted to change the circle to use the pen, can we do that?
Change the circle to use, what do you mean by use the pen?
If we wanted to use the pen to draw a shape instead of text.
Oh, absolutely. So right now, so I'll start with that one. So right now the circle is a basic cut, right? So my machine is going to cut it out because again, I'm creating a little seal for my envelope right there. But if I want my machine to write it out, which I would probably have to place it on one of these cards, right? Because it's going to draw it on something. I would come up to the edit bar where it says operation. And right now it's basic cut. And I just scroll down to draw and I would select pen, right? So now it's going to draw a circle for me, right? But that's not what I'm creating, a little seal. So I want my machine to cut out this circle for me so I can place it on my card right there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to click on undo right here at the top of the edit bar. If you click on undo, it brings it right back for you. Okay, so let's see, arrange. So let's say, and I'll use this circle as an example. If I wanted to put this circle on top of this envelope, for example, you see how it's hiding behind it, right? It's hiding behind it right now. I'm just going to tuck it in right there so you could still see it. You can change the arrangement of how your items are. And I'm going to show you 2 ways you can do it. You can come over to your layers panel and you can click on something and move it up, right? So you see how my circle blank, you can see how I'm just moving it right now. I can move it up above the envelope. If I do that, see how it now immediately brings that up there, okay? So you can drag it because the item at the top of your layers panel is always going to be on top essentially, right? So you can do that. Or you can also click on that circle. And if I want to bring it in front of something, there's the arrange option in the edit bar. So in the edit bar where it says arrange, it's right next to flip. Click on that drop-down menu and there's different options. Bring to front, bring forward, send backward, send to the back, right? So I can just do bring to the front and it brings it to the front. Okay. So if you want to bring it behind, you have that option as well as you. If you've ever worked in like Microsoft Publisher, that's a tool as well, right? You can send something to the front or send it to the back. It works the same way when it comes to using using arrange. Speaking of align, so let's say I'm going to work with this one right here. I'm going to just detach this. So right now my hello and my blank card right here they're not attached right now. So what if I wanted to align this? Maybe I want to align it in the center, right? I want to put the hello in the center right here. Okay. I'm going to put it up here just so you could see it really change. I would select these 2. So I'm just going to draw a box over the 2 of them, make sure they're both selected. And then you come up to the edit bar, look for the align function, which is actually right next to arrange. It's between edit and arrange. You click on the align function and you get this drop-down menu of different types of alignments, right? And if I go ahead and select the last one, which is center, watch what happens. It immediately perfectly centers it for you. Okay. So I would say sign up for our 102. We use align all the time. We use different types of align directions in that class as well. So I would say try sign up for that one. You could really learn more about using that align function. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and select these 2 once again because I'm going to attach them. And again, the bottom of your layers panel is where you would click on attach. So I now have my 3. So all I need to do now is add some text. I'm going to add a little hello to my circle right here because that's going to be my seal that I'm creating. So once again, I'm going to add some text. I'm going to come over to the design panel and click on the text button there. And I'm going to just bring this over here and I'm going to type in hello. And I'm going to keep it the little white lies font, which is the one I used the last time for the love you so much. So because I used it before, If I come up to the edit bar, operation is set to pen. The style is set to writing. I don't really need to do anything. All I need to do is now take it, drag it into the middle of my circle. Again, if I want, I can select the two of them, hover over the two of them, come up to the edit bar and use align, and then scroll down and click on center, right? So, and it did it slightly. You probably missed it. It just does it slightly, right? So you can manually align your items, but again, you have these tools available to you to try out, right? Since I aligned it right now and they're both selected, I can go ahead and attach it. So it's attached and my machine is going to know to write hello on this orange circle right here. So I come down to the bottom of my layers panel and click on attach. And now it's attached. So I essentially have all of my elements now. I've got my 3 cards, my 3 blank cards. I have my envelope, my insert ready to go, and I have my little hello seal right here. So all I need to do now is click on that make it button and start connecting to my machine. Again, if you notice, you know what? I just want to make it, or I want to reference what is already created for it. You can scroll down and it's hidden right now, but you can click on that little eyeball and you get the full set. And what's really cool too is that full set, it's a different design, right? It's different, different text, different colors. We've added a folded card there. So you have this extra project essentially that you can work with. I'm going to go ahead and click on make it. So we can switch over to my overhead and you can see me. I could talk more about adhesives and we could assemble it and put it together. And of course, you can continue asking questions. So I'm working with a Maker 3, so it's always going to ask me if I'm loading materials for this project. I'm going to click on a mat because I'm working with a mat, and I click confirm. So I have, again, this is the prepare screen, and it's going to organize everything according to the colors I've selected. So my first mat, I have my love you so much. This is where I'm going to put my white cardstock, and I'm going to be using a pen, and also it's going to cut it out, right? My second mat, I actually have my envelope insert. So I'm going to be using some pattern paper, but I'm using a scoring tool. So you're going to get to see me use that in just a little bit. And then my third mat, I have my other blank card from the desk of Danny, and I have my little hello because they're both going to be that orange color that I'm using. My fourth mat, I have my envelope, which is going to use a scoring tool as well, and it's in this mustard yellow. And then I actually have a fifth mat, which is the same mustard yellow for my hello. And the reason why it's not on that same one is just because of the size, right? I'm working with a 12 by 12 size mat. So if it's going to take up more room, it's going to just place it on a second mat, which is fine for you, right? It's just going to be an extra step that you're going to do. Okay. I don't have to review anything. I don't have to add any other specific settings. Just know that it's going to prompt me when I'm using pens, when I'm using a scoring tool, right? So once I've reviewed this prepare screen, I'm going to go ahead and click continue, and it's going to start connecting to my computer, to my Maker 3, right? So it's connecting to my Maker 3. Once that's set, I'm now going to set my base material. And you'll notice I have some materials already selected as popular materials, right? And I have my light cardstock and my medium cardstock listed there. I can also click on browse all materials if I don't have one of these already bookmarked, right? These are ones that I've bookmarked that I use all the time. So if I click on browse all materials, it's going to give me all of these different categories of the different types of materials I can use. And I can scroll through, and immediately the second section is my cardstock section. And remember, very important that you select the type of cardstock you're going to use, because each type of cardstock has a different setting, right? If I'm working with a glitter cardstock, it's a lot tougher. So it's going to require a little bit more pressure from my blade than if I'm working with like a light weight cardstock or a medium. So for this first card, I'm going to select medium cardstock, which is the 80 pound, and this is the Cricut cardstock I'm using. Once you click on it, you get a green check mark. That means it's been selected, and you click done. So step one, my material is set. Step two, right? It's telling me that I need to load my pink crystal pen, which is that pink that I'm using. If you're not using any color, maybe you're using the black pen that comes with your machine. So I'm going to load that in clamp A. Clamp B is my fine point blade. That's the blade that comes with my machine. It's actually already in my machine right there. So I'm just going to load my paper onto my mat, load it into the machine, make sure I have my pen in the right clamp, and then let my machine do all that heavy lifting. So we're going to see that in just a second right here. So Katie, how are we doing out there before I switch over to my overhead?
It looks like we're doing pretty well. So keep going. And if we have anything pop up, we'll handle it.
Perfect. And I see the thumbs up emojis going. All right, we're going to switch over to my overhead. Okay. All right. So I've got all my fun little goodies right here. So again, these are the blank cards that I've already made. I've got, again, there's tons of different options. You can use different pens, right? So I'm going to be using the pink crystal one. So I'm going to go ahead and take it off. I'm going to take the cap off, and I always put the cap back on so I don't lose it. And I'm going to place it in clamp A. And there's a little arrow right there, right? Which when you place it into the clamp, you want to make sure you go all the way down until that arrow is no longer showing and it clips in. And then you just put the clamp back on there. Got my little Cricut cutie hanging out. It's going to hang out over there. Real quick. So I mentioned adhesives, right? So everything from using a glue stick is really great. It depends on what type of project you're going to be using, right? So something like a card making, you might be using a glue stick. A liquid glue is really great to use as well. I love using tape runners, right? So there's lots of different options when it comes to tape runners. If you're working with very intricate parts of a card, right? Intricate little details, glue pens are really going to come in handy, right? So you have those available to you. So feel free, go to your local craft store and go to that adhesive section. You'll probably see me there. And there's always new options available to you. Here's my cardstock that I'm using. Again, I'm using all medium weight 80-pound cardstock, right? So here's all the different, here's my beautiful pattern paper that I'm going to use for my envelope insert, which I'm super excited about. So I'm going to start with my white paper first. I have my light grip mat that I'm going to be using. I'm going to go ahead and take my plastic protective sheet off. And I will talk about cleaning your mat. I know that was one of the questions that came up. Additional tools I'm going to use. I have a brayer tool, which once I place my cardstock down, I like to go over my cardstock with the brayer. That really makes sure that it's staying nice and firm on the mat. It's not going to move as I'm working on that. So I'm going to go ahead and take my cardstock, my 12 by 12 piece of white cardstock. Now, if you're working, I'm working with just a teeny little part, like a 4 by 6 portion of my blank card. So I could just use a scrap piece, or if I had half of this. Of course, for this class, I'm using the full piece. But again, if I just have a scrap piece, I can use that. And I would place it exactly where it was on that prepare screen. So I'm using my brayer tool. I'm going to go ahead and slide it into my machine using the 2 guides. There's my blinking load and unload button. I'm going to go ahead and just press, and it's going to start to register my design, the size of my mat. And once it's ready, my go button will blink, and it's going to write out my text, add my little offset border that I created, and then it's going to cut it out. So we'll get to see that in action in just a little bit. So here we go.
Danny?
Yes.
I just want to remind everybody, we only have about 10 minutes left of our time that we set out for this workshop, and I think you're going to go over that time. I just want to remind everybody that the workshop is being recorded. So I know it's kind of late on a school night. If anybody had to, step out, it is being recorded. You can either copy the YouTube link for the recording, and we will send you the recording. It's about 24 hours after the workshop. You'll get an email with a link to the recording. So we appreciate you guys being here. Please take a moment, if you do have to exit on time or early, to fill out our survey. It's a quick 6-question survey. So I really appreciate everybody who can fill that out for us. And Danny's going to finish the projects. So I don't want Danny, I don't want you to feel rushed. I don't want those who are going to stay and complete their projects to feel rushed. But I wanted to assure everybody that this class is being recorded and you will get the recording for it.
Great. Thanks so much, Kesley.
Yep.
Yeah, that survey really comes in handy for us. We're trying to provide you with the right resources you need. So please let us know, how we can make these classes better for you. And of course, what else you want us to offer. So look at that. So my first blank card is done. I'm going to go ahead and flip it over and remove it. So whenever I remove anything, I flip it over, I get my a corner of my paper and I peel my mat away from the paper as I'm pressing down on the paper to my table, right? That's how I'm going to avoid my paper curling or anything like that. But essentially, there's my first little blank card. Love you so much. I'm going to put it off to the side right there. And we're going to keep moving along here. So we're going to move on to, I'm going to move on to the next card that I'm going to cut out. And actually, I'm going to come back. Here we go. So I'm going to keep going. And actually, this one is now going to be from the desk of. So it's still sticking with using a pen, but this time I'm going to put my black pen in clamp A, and it's still using my fine point blade. I will share my screen when I go into the scoring part, because I want to show you how I'm going to be selecting my scoring tool. So I'm going to go ahead and just take my pink crystal marker, switch out my marker here, place it in clamp A. Okay. And going to get my cardstock here. And I'm going to be doing orange. This nice autumn, kind of like this burnt orange right here. Looks like a great pumpkin color, right? And go ahead and use my brayer tool. There we go. Slide it into my machine. And again, my machine's going to register the design, the shape of my mat, and then it's going to start cutting, right? Once that go button will blink, I will press on that go button right there. So while we're waiting for this one to cut out, I want to talk about some other resources. So again, we've got the Cricut Learn website. So you go to learn.cricut.com. There's on-demand free classes that you can check out. I also want to mention our social media accounts that we have available too. So if you're on social media, we've got these wonderful official groups that you can join as well. We've got our Cricut official, we've got a beginners group, we have one for card making. And what's really great is not only do you get to ask questions, again, more resources, but again, you get to connect with this wonderful Cricut community that we have. So I know our Cricut experts will be putting those in the chat. Actually, Katie just did. Thank you, Katie. So there's those links in the chat as well. I also want to mention, if you go to our YouTube channel, there are hundreds and hundreds of videos that you can check out. And again, what's really great is you can just watch them. You can pause, go back, you can take notes, just like this recording we're going to share with you. You really have these available to you to check out. So feel free to, check out our Facebook and also our YouTube channel as well, because that's available to you. So this is, the writing is done, and it's now going to cut out my little hello circle, and my from the desk of Danny. And again, these are really great to give as gifts. You can create a nice gift set. I went with these autumn colors. So I'm thinking, if you wanted to give a note card set to someone during this autumn season, or with Thanksgiving coming up, or, maybe for like a teacher. So there we go. So I've got my two pieces there. I'm going to flip it over, and same thing. I'm going to get one corner of my paper, press down, and peel my mat away from the paper, right? So now I have from the desk of Danny, and I've got my little hello seal that I'm going to use on my envelope right there. All right, so we're going to keep moving along here. How are folks doing? Can I get a thumbs up? How are we doing out there?
They're doing well, Coach. They did ask if you could give some tips on cleaning their mats.
Yeah, so if you notice that there's like any dust, any dirt, any kind of something on your mat, right? Usually what I like to do is I will use either a non-alcoholic baby wipe, or I will use just some warm water and soap, let it air dry, and that stickiness comes back, right? If you notice, after you doing that, after letting it air dry and you're not getting that stickiness back, then it's probably time to change your mat. But just some warm water and soap, and again, letting it air dry, or again, if you have like a non-alcoholic baby wipe, that really will come in handy. And of course, you want to make sure that you're always putting your plastic protective sheet right on top of it, because that's really going to preserve your mat for you. So you want to make sure that you're doing that. So I'm going to continue with my last blank card, and this is going to be the one that says hello, right? So I already have my black pen in there because it's using that already. I'm going to go ahead and just slide it in, and it's going to cut that out. And then we're going to switch over to the envelope, and I'm going to show you how I'm selecting a scoring stylus. And then, of course, we get to the fun part where I get to use an adhesive and put my envelope together. So again, if you are still working on a particular step, no worries. Continue to ask questions. If you're, just watching, again, you will get that recording. You'll be able to create these projects. And I want to mention too, if you're in those Facebook groups and you create these projects, we would love to see them. So feel free to post a photo of your project and just say, hey, Coach Danny, look what I created. Our Cricut experts are admins in these groups, so they will be able to see them as well, and they will make sure that I get to see it. So I would love to see your finished projects as well. So I'm getting a little thumbs up there. All right, so this is finishing writing it, and then it's going to cut it out as well. And then we're going to get to do the scoring portion. And again, I will show you a tip if you don't have a scoring stylus on what you can do if you don't have a scoring stylus or a scoring tool. So here we go. It's just finishing that one up. And we're going to unload our mat. Again, I'm going to flip it over, get a corner of that paper, press down as I peel that mat away from the paper. And here is our hello. Look how great, look how nice that looks. Write a nice little personal message to someone on there. It's going to look really, really great. Okay. So I'm going to switch back over to Design Space so you can see selecting that scoring tool. All right, so right now I'm going to do the envelope first. So, and it says here, score and basic cut. So once again, I'm going to go ahead and select one of my bookmarked ones. Since I have that already here, I'm going to go ahead and select medium cardstock. So now in step 2, it's telling me to load my tools and material. And I'm working in a Maker 3. So it's telling me I don't need a tool in clamp A. And then it's telling me to load my scoring wheel in clamp B, because that's where you would put your scoring wheel right here, right? Now, I want to use my scoring stylus because if you remember what I said in the beginning, you can put the scoring stylus in clamp A. So it's actually you're saving a step. So if you want to change the scoring tool you're going to use, you just click on Edit Tools right here next to the Load Tools and Material. And you get this pop-up and you get to select what type of scoring tool you're going to use. So I'm going to go ahead and select Scoring Stylus and click Apply. And it immediately changes it where now it's telling me to load a scoring stylus in clamp A, where I just had my pens, and then the fine point blade in clamp B, which is already set, right? So I'm ready to now be able to do that. So I'm going to show you that in just a second right here. So we're going to switch back over. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scoring stylus, take my black pen out, and I'm going to place my scoring stylus until it clicks, close it right there. Take my yellow, my mustard yellow paper here for my envelope. Use my brayer tool to make sure it's nice and secure on the mat. And go ahead and slide it in. And again, my machine is going to score it and then it's going to cut it out. Okay. After I cut out both parts of the envelope and we do the assembling part, I'll show you how you can add a score line if you don't have a scoring tool. So that's, let's see, it's just registering that right there. There we go. And now it's going to cut that out and score it. And again, I'm going to show you while that's cutting, look at my beautiful pattern paper right there, right? So again, what a wonderful way to add some pattern, some color, some design to the inside of your envelope. Actually, if you're not mailing your envelope, you can make this your whole envelope, right? If you want to be able to write on your envelope, of course, then that's the challenge there. And that's where you could use this as your insert. But if you're handing this to someone, you can use a beautiful pattern paper for your envelope. So again, it's a really great option to do. Okay, so my envelope is all cut out. So again, I'm going to flip it over, press down, peel that mat away. Okay. And I don't know if you could see the cut lines, but I can just fold it like that. Look at that. So I already have that score line in there that I can use. So you'll get to see me fold that whole thing in just a second right there. Okay. So now I'm just going to get my insert all squared away. And once again, I'm using the scoring stylus so I can keep that in clamp A right there. Okay. So get that all squared away. Place my pattern paper. Now, a quick little tip too, I'm working with this nice floral print, but let's say I was working with stripes or some kind of directional type design. You want to keep that in mind, right? Where you're going to place it and where it's going to cut out, right? So for this floral design, it's okay where I place it if I was to move the paper. But if it was stripes and I want the stripes to go vertical and not horizontal, I want to make sure that I'm placing it properly on my mat before it cuts out that insert for me. So just keep that in mind when you're working with patterns.
Danny, where did you get that gorgeous paper?
That gorgeous paper, I think it's from Joann's.
Nice.
So,
thank you.
yeah, I think it's Park Lane.
So it was a recent get, not in your stash.
Oh, it was in my stash. It's
Okay.
at least I mean I have tons and tons of cardstock. I love cards. I think I have more cardstock than adhesive. So, but I purchased it. I love to just get. I actually, you know how you can purchase your cardstock in single pieces. I actually like to get the paper pads. So it's actually a paper pad that I purchased.
Oh, nice. Okay. Is it and it's double-sided, right?
It is double-sided. Yep.
That's
Yeah.
so pretty for envelopes and such.
Yes, absolutely. So
Tammy,
yeah, yeah, and as Kesley knows, I usually like to use plaid patterns. So
Tammy did say she thinks she saw that at Joanne's today.
oh, there you go.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Suzanne is astonished that you have more adhesive than cardstock.
Oh, I think I do, but I don't know. Maybe I'll count it one day. So
Coach, that's Susan, who is in like every one of our classes. So that's why she's so shocked, because she knows how much you love your adhesives.
she knows how much I love my adhesives. All right, so I'm essentially done cutting everything out. So I'm going to go ahead and just close this. So of course, if I need to clean my mat, I would do that. But my mat this is actually a new mat that I pulled, so it's in great shape. But I'm going to put my little plastic cover on it, because I want to show you a quick little tip. I'm going to flip it over. What happens if I don't have a scoring tool, right? So I'm going to use the edge of my mat, this little lip right here, to line up where I would add a scoring line, right? And then I'm going to take a couple different options. If you have a weeding tool, right, you can use the back of your weeding tool, right, to be able to take the back of your weeding tool, line up to the edge of your mat, or you could even use a ruler, and then just press down and use that as a guide to be able to create that score line for you. You can use that. You can use your scraper tool, same thing, to just press down, right? And I'm using my mat, but if I could use my Cricut ruler. Actually has a nice, it's going to give you even a little bit more of a lip there to just really be able to add that score line. But that's what you could do. You could just manually add your own little score lines right there. Okay. All right. So let's get assembling. So, and with this one, we're really just using, in terms of adhesive, I'm only applying adhesive to my envelope, to my envelope insert, and my little hello. So for something like that, I'm going to use a tape runner, right? I love these tape runners. They're tiny, they're adorable. They come in a pack of 3. So what I'm going to do first, though, is I want to fold all of my score lines, right? So I'm getting a sense of where I'm going to place my adhesive, right? So essentially, I need to place some adhesive here and here, but I also need to place my insert first, right? So here's my insert, which also has a score line in there. So essentially, this is where my pattern is going to fit before I actually fold the rest of it in, okay? So I fold it in half, and I'm going to, again, use my tape runner. Oh, by the way, this is the back of the pattern. See, it's just like these teeny tiny little polka dots. So I'm using my tape runner, which again, super easy, but I mean, I probably could use a glue stick. And again, you know, especially if you want to reposition it, sometimes it might be easier to just use that glue stick. But again, there's my pattern inside my envelope right there. Now for my flaps, when I close it, I want to make sure that I'm not putting too much adhesive, so it's not going to stick once I place my cards inside, right? So I'm going to just be very careful with that. And I actually just made it, but there is a little piece sticking out. There's a little teeny tiny piece of tape right there. Depending on your flaps, for this envelope design, it's actually pretty wide, but sometimes the flaps are a little bit smaller. And usually what I do is I grab a piece of scrap paper and I put half of my tape on the scrap and half on the envelope. So you're not, again, putting too much adhesive where when you go to close it, it's going to stick to everything else. But here we go. And then I fold my other flap down and I have my envelope right here. Now for my little hello, of course, I would seal that once I have my card in there. But for now, I'm just going to put a little tape runner on the top, just so I can have have it attached to the top right there so I can open it. How cute is that, right? Look at that. And I have my 3 blank cards right there. All done. How adorable. And it looks, I mean, there's a little bit of pink in there, right? But actually the pink goes with my floral. But I mean, it has this like nice autumn look to it, right? So it's just, again, 3 cards, and you could make 3 sets of envelopes right here. I'm going to come to the front here so you could see them. Here we go. So here's my envelope. Oh, I have it backwards. Here's my 3 cards and my envelope right here, right? So now think about it. A note card set, a gift set. You make 3 of these. You have your envelope, you have your 3 blank cards. You can stack them all together, get some fun ribbon, twine, wrap it around, put a little bow, a little tag on it, hand it to someone. Kesley, Coach Kesley, I know you had made, you've taken acetate and actually created a band around your cards.
I did. I have my little belly band. Do you want me to show it?
Yeah, why don't you come on?
Here.
Some of you might recognize Kesley if you've taken our workshops with Coach Kesley. So I'm gonna add you as a spotlight so we could see you there. There we go.
Look through my stash here.
So while you're doing that, I also want to mention too. So this is what you did with your Cricut cutting machine, right? What else can you do? You can maybe think about what else you have in your craft space. You have little embellishments, little rhinestones. I mean, you can have some fun, add some glitter. You can really just have some fun elevating this project. But Kesley, I love that acetate band idea.
Yeah, so I had a set of note cards, and I just took a little piece of acetate, and I'm going to take it off. I don't even know if you'll be able to see it, but it's just a little piece of acetate. And then I sealed it on the edge. So, and now that I wrapped it around it and then sealed it. So I may have a hard time getting it back together. But like, if you want to make a little set of cards as a gift, this is like such a perfect way to do that. Of course, it's not going to go back on for me. I want to share.
It only happens when it's live television, right?
I know, right? And another cute way to wrap up your cards, if you're giving them as a set, I got to find this again. Okay. Is use like a piece of rat tail on the corners here. And I did cheat. I have it taped together in the back. I don't want you guys to think I'm that good. But you can put your little cards in with your note. And then one thing Danny didn't teach you guys tonight, because it's not part of this workshop, but now that you know offset, we use the offset on the inside of the card. You can also use the offset and create another mat for the card. So like this little card here, this is from the desk of Adam Anderson. It has a mat piece on the back. So if you wanted to add a little pizzazz or some extra color, that's a really fun way to do it. And then what a cute way to gift this. And I'll show you one more little gifting item, I think. I have all my stuff over here, but I found these little trays at the dollar store, and I had gotten them intending to make some mug rugs. But instead I thought, oh, I can just make little sets of gift cards. So I put vinyl on the inside, and then my little note cards can go right inside there, and I can gift that.
I love it. Then you just put a nice big bow on it and a nice little gift tag.
Yep. And it's great like as a housewarming gift or something like
absolutely.
that. Like,
absolutely. And again, you can make that gift tag with a little card making skills, which you all have now, yes, right?
They're card ninjas.
They're card ninjas. They're ready to slay. I love that.
Yes.
Hey, Kesley.
Yeah.
Deborah asked what you used to seal the acetate.
I just use adhesive, just a dry, clear adhesive. My favorite is the Ultra Bond. So that's the one I use, but I also use the Zig 2-way glue. But you could also do just like a little, you could just do like that hello sticker and use that to seal your acetate. And if you don't have acetate, just think about like Oh, I cleaned up behind me. Whenever you open up a new mat or something like that, like you have a clear sleeve and you could use that to cut it out, like make a belly band out of something like that too.
I mean, you could also use paper too. You can just do the paper. You can do with your cardstock. You know, you could even you could add text to it,
You
right?
could.
So if you do the band, you could put on the front of the text a gift for you, or you can say made with love by Kesley, right, on there, or something really fun like that. So tons of options for you. So I hope you're excited. Yeah.
Susan says ribbon with HTV. I love that.
Yeah.
I
love that.
I put the names of the glues, the adhesives that you recommended, the iCraft Ultra Band and the Zig 2A glue pen, in the chat if anybody's wondering about those. And I love Susan's idea for the ribbon. You can also use infusible ink on most ribbons because they're polyester, so you could write with the infusible ink pens and then press it on that.
Katie, did you put my favorite glue pen here?
The Tombow glue pen.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pen. So again, teeny tiny little details. You can just use this, so that really comes in handy. We could talk to you all day about craft supplies and what we love. I do want to launch one more polling question, and we could let that play out for a little bit. If you want to share anything else.
You know what I did? I had jotted down, somebody asked a really good question, and I kind of saw it come up a couple times. Do you mind if I share my screen and answer?
Absolutely. So I just launched a polling question. We just want to know, we've shared a ton of information with you, and that's why we shared the recording. So you do have that available to you, and you can email us, right? So how are you feeling now? Are you feeling like a Cricut ninja, or you know what? Do you need more assistance, which is totally fine, right? So maybe you need additional resources. So how are you feeling? Kesley, did that poll stop for some reason?
I don't think so. I think I just took, it may have. I took host. No, it's still going. I think I took the hosting.
Perfect.
Hosting things. So I saw a question that was asked about resizing envelopes, or how do you find envelopes to fit your card? And I just wanted to kind of address that real quick. So when you have an envelope and a card, like let's say, so these little, I'm going to hide some of these layers so I don't get them too much in here. But if I had my envelope here, and this is more like a 4x6 size, but let's say I wanted to take this card and make it a 5x7 card. So what I do is I'll make a dupe shape. Actually, I can just duplicate this shape. So I just duplicate that shape, and I'm going to change this out to be a 5x7 size. So up in my edit bar, I'll just change that to 5 inches by 7 inches. I have to first unlock my proportions there. So we'll get that 5x7. So now proportionally, a 4x6 does not proportionately change to a 5x7. So you keep that in mind, that, you could change. It's like basically taking a square and forcing it into a rectangle. It proportionally doesn't change that way. So just keep that in mind. So I'm going to take this 5x7 and I'm going to send that to the back so that it's behind my card here. Now I'll line up my those two cards, knowing that I want to bring this gray one to the size about a 5x7. I know that this red envelope and the liner will fit my 5x7 card. So now what I'm going to do is regroup my envelope and my envelope insert and my note card blank. I'm going to regroup those together. Then I could just take my corner and expand my card out until it's about the size of the 5x7. So as I'm moving my card out to be closer to the 5x7, I am also moving the size of my envelope, and it's resizing everything together. So that's how I would do that. If you didn't want to coordinate it with another envelope, you could ungroup these layers. We'll move the 5x7 card and grab, let's make sure this is still 5x7. So let's move this to the front. Let's rotate this 90 degrees so it's aligned with the envelope. And this is all recorded. So I know I'm kind of going through this quickly, but just kind of watch what we're doing here. So now I'll grab these 2 envelope pieces and enlarge it to fit like a 5x7 card. So as long as that 5x7 will fit inside, I'm good to go. And I can just change the proportions, make it a little bit smaller where I need to. And now I have an envelope that will fit a 5x7 card. So that was one question we got, we were getting. And then also one other question was, how do you find more envelopes? If you go into images and do a search for 3D envelopes, you'll find oops, I didn't spell that right. You'll find envelopes that should be designed. So did I spell it right? You'll find envelopes that are designed to cut and fold versus just images of envelopes. So I have lots of images of envelopes here, but you should be able to find different, let me make sure I don't have any filters on. Nope. You should be able to find, that's how I usually find my envelopes. I do 3D envelopes. But we'll just do a search for envelopes. And then you'll get other envelopes that, my system is not working tonight. I'm gonna stop share. Danny, you can answer your questions. I'm gonna go in and peek and see what I'm doing wrong.
No worries. I do want to mention though, going back to the resizing thing. So for this class, we were focusing in on making a note card set. But I know some of you have taken our card workshops before. And recently when we did a birthday card workshop, that's part of the presentation. So I know when we offer the card workshop again in the future, actually Kessie's put together a great presentation that includes a great graphic of showing the different sizes, right? And just using the shapes that she was showing you to resize that envelope. So I want to mention real quick too, based on the designs I made, depending on, what type of Cricut access you have, if you have the monogram option, I just took a monogram, a very simple monogram, and I was able to add that to a note card. So again, thinking about gift giving, you can make a set of note cards that has someone's monogram, right? And how wonderful would that be? Here's the hello with the flowers, right? And just adding a little bit of color on there. And then you have in that make it, the make it portion of the canvas, right? That hidden layer. You have the folded card, the thinking of you. So again, adding a little bit of color right there. So, so I think you're gonna be very busy making cards for Kesley and I.
For us to send up. I did figure it out. Let me share my screen one more time.
Yeah, go for it.
You want to go in projects, not images. So projects images will have the images of envelopes. Projects will give you 3-dimensional, like actual envelopes that you want to cut. And then you can just resize them however you want. I do also, we did get a question about, let me get back to my canvas here. I want to remind everybody to save your projects. This is such a great note card set that you can adjust and modify for anything. So don't forget to hit the save button and either save or save as your project, so that you can come back to it. And once you've completed your card, take a picture, attach it to the project, and then you can share it out to the Cricut community in Design Space. And you can also share it with us in the Facebook groups.
I want to mention real quick too, when you were looking for envelopes, I believe if they type in the search to rounded corner card, they're going to get a card template with an envelope as well. So that's
a great one.
That's a great one too that we've used before as well. So
hey, Kesley.
Sure
Sorry, Danny. We did have a couple of people ask if you can show how to make their projects public and share them. And they also want to see the tray that you had, the dollar store one, with your notes cards in it.
Sure. So I messed up with this one, so I don't want to save this one. So let me I need to get a new canvas. Let's see, let me replace my canvas, and like let's just grab another project. Let's say I want to make this little spooky bookmark. It's adorable. So I'll say edit a copy, just like we did tonight. And hopefully it'll come into there we go. And then I can make my changes to this or make it as I want, however I want to do it. And then I'm going to say save, and I say save as, and then I can just, change this up. This is a great project. That little bookmark is adorable. I could see like a pumpkin on there or turkey. I would just call this like bookmark. And then I would change that skeleton out and use different images. So I save my project. Then when you click on my stuff, and you can find my stuff here on the canvas, or I believe it's on the left side on the home screen now. I'll go into my projects that I've saved. Now I can click on the 3 little dots here and edit those project details. I can give the information of the materials I used. If I want to, if there are any special cutting instructions, you can add those onto here. Anything like that, you can just add that right on here. Add tags, so you can say like book. Let's see if we can find a book. That tag doesn't exist. Like book, bookworm, book binding, whatever. Then this is the part that helps you make your project go public. If you click browse, then you can look in your images. So I probably have 100 images. Let's just see if I have one here. I know I just had an image that I pulled up. I don't want to pull up an image. I don't want to pull up an image of one of my kids, but you would grab an image. Let me see if I've got something I can use here so you guys can see. Don't I have an images file? iCloud photos. Let's see. I'm sure I'll have something there. Nope.
Leslie, if you want to stop sharing your screen for a second so you can look through them.
I'm like, I don't have anything, Katie, I don't have anything racy on my computer.
Well, I know that.
I do want to mention, I saw someone said that folks are already sharing their cards in the official group.
Yep.
And I just went there and I saw one. So that's awesome. So thank you for
one of our admins, Lisa, and she wanted to make sure you knew that. Lisa's a huge fan of yours, just like we are.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you. I appreciate it. I did see someone saying about their stylus not applying any actual scoring. Make sure that it's clicking in, right? So you have this little arrow right here. You're making sure that when you're placing it in, the arrow is completely, you won't be able to see it. You're going all the way down until it clicks in place. So that should help you. And again, sometimes I've actually gone over, I've taken, again, the back of my weeding tool or my scraper tool just to go over and just to reinforce that scoring line. Or again, if you can use a scoring tool as well.
Okay, so, I found one I can share. I think that will work. But now I've lost, let's see, here we go. Okay. So let me share my design space again. Is this where I am?
So yes, Rhonda, you can use the stylus on your maker, because I'm using a maker and I always use the stylus tool.
So I'll just browse, and I have my, oh no, where did they go? Dang it. It moved it on me. I had it all out. All right. Well, you guys, oh, I know I've got images on here. Did I look in my pictures folder? There we go. This is what I was going to look for. So you can just grab an image, take a picture of your image, make sure you've got like good lighting, know that it comes in and shows up as a square. So you can just add that to your project, and then you'll save your project. Once you've saved your project, there's one last step, and that is to share. So you click this little button, this icon that is the sharing icon, and it also shows up here. So I can share this, and I can share to design space. Now, when I go to my profile, this project will show up as a project I can share. So if I go to, let's go back here. Let's go to Canvas. Sorry, I just want to show you how it'll show up. Let me go back. Okay, so here I am on my my projects page, and there it is right there. All right.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So can we just let's see, I'm just looking real quick at these. Deborah says, I use my stylus plenty of time and it only leaves a very light line. Yeah, it depends. You know, it works. It does work for me when I use it for card making. But again, if you can use a scoring tool, that is going to give you a deeper line. So it depends on what type of project you're doing. So real quick, I actually want to mention again that once you leave and we end this workshop, a survey will pop up and we would greatly appreciate your feedback. Again, it's 6 questions, super quick and easy. We love to also know what else you want us to be able to offer, right? What resources do you want us to provide for you? So go ahead, Kesley, show your.
I was looking to see if it had like a good name on it, but it's just called a wood tray, and it's the cheapest of wood. Like it's super.
Yeah, those are great though. Yeah, those are from the dollar store, right?
Yeah, they're the dollar store, and I just painted mine white. And then I just added, it says there's always something to be thankful for. And I just added that on the bottom.
I love that.
It's really cute. Yeah. But yeah, they just come like this, and then you can paint it to match a room or somebody's, you know, whatever. They're great graduation presents too. Think about that.
Fill them with lots of note cards. Speaking of note cards, I actually wrote one from the desk of Danny and it says, y'all rock. I'm not from the South, but y'all rock.
You got to send that to everybody who is in the workshop now.
There you go. So, all right, folks, thank you so much for joining us. Again, you're getting the recording. We would love to see you at our upcoming classes. Kesley, we've got some exciting projects coming up. Do you want to just give them a quick little teaser?
We do. I am super excited. Our November and December classes are all new classes. We have a wine tote coming up. So we'll decorate a wine tote if you have to go for a hostess gift, but they're also great gift bags, the wine totes. And then we have another card class. Let me see in my bin here. I'll look for it. We have another card class coming up that is going to be great if you do want to make more sets of cards. This is the card we'll be making, and we use the foil tool. If you don't have the foil tool, we have a workaround. Don't worry about that. And then we have the December classes. We have a paper ornaments class. So excited about that one. And how to use paper to decorate your boxes and things like that. So that's, I think, called bows and flowers, I think is what that one's called. So very excited about this. And Danny and I both teach them. So you might see him or you might see me. You never know.
Maybe we'll both pop in. You never know.
Surprises happen. Crazier things happen.
Thank you, everyone, again for joining us. I want to thank our Cricut experts, Kesley, Katie, Jesse, and Christine for working behind the scenes. And again, to all of you, I hope you had fun. I hope we're making your crafting journey one that's fun and easy. And again, y'all rock. All right, so we hope to see you soon. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Danny. Did a great job.
Thank you.